Major wins for our boys varsity soccer team, girls volleyball with massive improvements, and then an unfortunate loss for our boys varsity football team. More on this episode of PLSN. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of PLSN. I'm Gavin Lyles.
I'm Matthew Mothershed.
We have a lot to cover this week. Tons of sports, as always. We're getting right into it. First, let's talk about soccer. Pretty solid performance across our two games. Played Lincoln Charter. We also played Highland Tech. So, Eliana is here with us right now to give us a little update on that. Take it away.
Hi, Pine Lake Media. I'm Eliana talking about sports this week. Let's take a closer look at the men's varsity soccer team and their exciting week on the field. The team played two important matches last week, showing both resilience and determination. On September 22nd, the Pride faced off against Lincoln Charter in what turned out to be a very competitive game. Both teams fought hard to finish, and their match ended in a 1-1 tie. Senior Cole Sheets scored the goal for Pine Lake, demonstrating his experience and leadership as he found the back of the net. His effort kept the team in the game and gave the Pride the momentum they needed to push through a tough opponent. Then on September 25th, the team returned to the field in even more energy and focus, taking on Highland Tech. This time, Pride comes out on top with a strong 3-1 victory. Sophomore Pierce Jerome opened the scoring goal in the net that toned for the match, and then following that with junior Jay Shaper stepping out a big way, scoring not just one but two goals to secure the win. His performance highlighted the depth of the talent and the roster and the teamwork that drives the whole group forward. What makes these games so impressive isn't just the goals, but the way the team worked together. The defensiveness making them stay more organized, and the midfield controlled possession. Compared to earlier in the season, the Pride are showing more confidence, sharper communication, and a longer sense of unity on the field. As a result of last week's efforts, the men's varsity soccer team continues to build momentum and prove that they can compete with an opponent. With senior leadership rising underclassmen and the talent and commitment to teamwork, the Pride is shaping for an exciting season ahead. That's all. Stay tuned for highlights and updates from Pine Lake Media.
Thank you, Eliana. So, she talked about a brief overview of the game. Let's dive right into it. We played Lincoln Charter. We'll start with our first game here. Played that on the 22nd. Surprising tie. I really thought going into this game we would have won. I'm just being honest. I thought we would have won. I did not think it was going to be as close of a game as it was. We beat Lincoln Charter. JVs beat Lincoln Charter. They beat them 2-0. I was kind of shocked to see that we tied, but overall, it was a pretty solid performance, I'd say, overall. Were you surprised by that? What were your thoughts on that?
I thought we should have played better, obviously. I think we should have won, but I think at least it wasn't a loss. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, ties obviously aren't good for the record either, but it could have been worse. We lost to Lake Norman Charter, so it's better that we tied against them. And we also beat Highland Tech. I was actually at that game. Great game. I think the performance was great by Pine Lake, so just keep things like that up and we'll be good.
Yeah, and you said you went to that game. They won 3-1, correct?
I did.
I believe they did, yes. So you were there at the game. Tell me, what do you think? What did Pine Lake do well? What did they do? Let me know.
They played together well, and they matched up really well with all the Highland Tech players. I think the main thing they could have improved on, though, was just they need to stay on what they're doing and stop. Sometimes they got lazy, and if you get lazy, sometimes you might let up a goal or something. But overall, they did really well. That was only on a few occasions where they messed up, but they did good overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty solid performance overall. Considering we did win 3-1, so
absolutely
pretty solid performance. And like you were saying, coaching and just overall just playmaking, real great here. We see many key players. Key players always Jay Shaper, Cole Sheets, two main strikers. So I really like how they're getting involved this season. So
yep.
So let's talk about our next two sports we have coming up here. We have tennis and volleyball. Here to give us a little bit more updates on those two sports is Jules and Avery. Take it away, you guys.
Hello everyone, I'm Jules Jerome.
And I'm Avery.
And today we're going to be focusing on our wonderful PLP volleyball and tennis team. To begin, our varsity volleyball team beat Bradford Prep and Lake Norman 3-0 last week, but sadly lost to Lake Norman Charter 2-1. Unfortunately, JV lost their games last week, but hopefully they will jump back and beat Lincoln Charter and Langtree Charter this week.
Volleyball is looking sharp in many areas this year. And now moving on to tennis. Tennis had a great week, going 2-0, playing Christ the King on Monday, winning 8 matches out of 9 matches, taking the win, and playing Lake Norman Charter Wednesday, winning 6 matches out of 9 matches, taking the win again.
Our volleyball team and tennis team are looking sharp this year. I can't wait to see their continuous achievements. Jules and Avery signing out.
Thank you, guys. So, let's talk about volleyball. We saw massive improvements this week, especially. We had 3 big games. We played Bradford Prep, we played Lake Norman, and we also played Lake Norman Charter. So, how did you feel on the first 2 games, Bradford Prep and Lake Norman? What were your initial thoughts on seeing that win, especially Lake Norman with them being a 7A team? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Seeing that win, what were your thoughts on that? I'm curious.
I thought we did great against Lake Norman. Obviously, the first one didn't go our way for JV, but varsity came out with the win. That's what matters in the end. I think having both the wins just shows how good of a team we are. Mm-hmm. But I also think the JV losses versus both Bradford and Lake Norman show that the future might not be as bright and they might need more development. So I think right now it's probably the pinnacle of Pine Lake volleyball.
Right, and we were actually talking about that on our very first few episodes of this PLSN. We talked about the future of volleyball. Talked about a couple weeks ago as well how we are #1 in the 3A division, and we talked about the future of Pine Lake varsity volleyball, and compared to what it is now, it definitely could be lackluster. But again, that's in the future. That's just our predictions. So, and I also wanted to give big shout out to our varsity team against Lake Norman Charter. We saw massive improvements, especially from a couple weeks ago where we lost 1-3. So I just want to say, even though we did lose, I do feel that we had massive improvements. I believe the score was 3-2, came down to the last set. So I want to say massive improvements there. What is your opinion on that? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think we just improved across the board. And I think we'll just continue to keep rising higher. And I think if they keep doing what they're doing, they have a chance to go all the way. So,
absolutely. And we saw, between the sets, the first 2 started out a little rough. And then as the game went on, it got really close. We really started to push back and fight. So, big shout out to the girls volleyball team, persevering. Shout out to them. Coming up with our last sports, we have football and golf to talk about. Here with us now, we have Georgia to give us a brief overview of what happened during the game. Take it away, Georgia.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pine Lake Sports News and Information Updates. My name is Georgia Adkins, and today I will be discussing our very own Pride varsity football and the current varsity girls golf stats. To get started, our varsity football has been showing up confidently and proudly to represent the Pride. 2 games ago, it was away at North Iredell High School, and we lost 7-41, but our defense played really well. As for their last game, away at Lake Norman Charter, we did much better with an outcome of 7-20. Great effort from our Pride. Why did the golfer bring an extra pair of pants? In case they got a hole in one. Next up, let's see how the girls' varsity golf team has been doing. The girls' varsity golf team's most recent match ended in a second-place award against Lake Norman Charter, CTK, and Lincoln Charter. Way to go, Lady Pride. With that being said, some highlight players from that match were Taylor Pike and Selena Ahn for earning all conference honors. Congrats, girls. Also, another big congratulations to Paisley Frieda for winning the Conference Player of the Year award. Congratulations to everybody. Also, some important updates to follow up with for golf, and you can attend, is on Monday, October 20th or Tuesday, October 21st for the regional tournament. The site is TBD. Also, Monday, October 27th or Tuesday, October 28th, we have this state tournament. But when we get closer, that information will be shared with you guys. Well, Pride fans, I hope everyone enjoyed this week's Pine Lake Sports News and Information Updates. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Georgia Adkins signing out. Bye for now.
Thank you, Georgia. So, Matthew, you've been playing football now.
Oh, yeah.
You were on the field.
I was
for the
on the
Lake
field.
Norman
You're
Charter
right.
game.
Correct.
I'm curious. What are your initial thoughts on the game? How do you think? Just lay it out for me.
Well, I mean, I obviously wasn't happy with the way it ended. I think for the most part, mistakes have killed us the entire season, and I think just overall we couldn't get done offensively. And I think I don't know. It's just the mistakes for the most part are what limited us, because we'll do good for a drive, then we'll have a mistake and we'll turn the ball over. Even on defense, our defense has been the best part of our team this year. And even on defense, like we'll give up some big plays sometimes, and that kind of messes the whole. I mean, it can mess the whole game up. But I think Lake Norman Charter, the score shouldn't have been that. I think it should have been a lot closer. I think going into next week, we should limit our mistakes and make sure that things go our way more.
I like how you put that too. I remember checking the score and I saw 7. It was 7-0 at half, and I was pretty excited considering this was Lake Norman Charter's homecoming game. I was pretty hopeful that we would beat them, and then we just saw kind of in the second half things just kind of unfolded. So, what's the plan going into next week? What have we learned from this game, and what are you going to do to improve?
I think the plan going forward is just try to execute more and make sure that we can limit the mistakes that we have. I'm going into next week, a tough opponent, Corvian. We'll see what happens. You got to stay tuned to find out. But, hopefully has a better chance of going our way.
Right. That's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of PLSN. I'm Gavin Lyles.
I'm Matthew Mothershed.
And we will see you guys next week.
See ya.